Welcome, everybody, to the Channel Vision Magazine webinar featuring Crexendo, which will share with us how we can master omnichannel contact center strategies to create a seamless customer experience. I'm your host, Bruce Christian, Senior Editor of Channel Vision Magazine. Running the presentation will be Crexendo's Chief Revenue Officer, John Britton. And now, welcome, John. Please introduce us to your guests.
Great. Thank you, Bruce. It's a pleasure to be with you today. And I want to also thank our co-sponsors, Poly, for their HP Poly for their participation in this webinar. It's great to have them along. Dave Finney will introduce themselves in just a second. But as you said, I'm John Brinton, Chief Revenue Officer at Crexendo. I'm joined by two of our awesome CCaaS experts today, Patrick Jean and Trent Dewey, who will assist us with the presentation. And for those in the audience who may not know Crexendo, we're a provider of unified communications as a service and omnichannel contact center as a service. And what's interesting about our company is, while many people may not know us, we are actually, by real customers, a third-party review site, g2.com, that validates that your reviewers are actually your customers, ranked number one in our industry by them as a high performer for VoIP providers. So these are some of the badges and awards that we have there, but we take that as a big honor, and we strive hard to provide exceptional customer experience for our customers. And our platform that we're going to talk about today, our technology is built on the NetSapiens platform. That's available also through about 200 licensees or service providers that have built their own offers leveraging our technology. So we have a great community, a lot of great opportunities for you to acquire and work with the tools that we're going to talk about in this session today on mastering omnichannel CCaaS, or omnichannel customer experience strategies. So now I'm going to toss it to you, Dave, and let you tell us a little bit about HP Poly.
Perfect. Thanks for joining, everyone. So I am Dave Finney. I'm Director of Global Alliances here at Poly, HP Poly. I will say Poly, so don't get confused. It's HP Poly, but Director of Global Alliances here. And what happened for us was HP acquired us officially on November 1st. So we are now part of the bigger HP family. So we have core strengths, they have core strengths, and together we think that we're in a really great position to deliver. John, if you can jump to the next slide. We think we're in a great position to deliver the future of work, whatever that is, whether it's home work, whether it's virtual work, whether it's in-office work, whether it's traveling work. We think that between the two companies, we have a really good opportunity to deliver excellent solutions for that.
Yes, and great. I'll vouch for the fact you guys have awesome tools to help companies improve their employee experience, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But I think it's first important to set the stage on kind of the criticality of customer experience. So why does this topic matter so much? Why is omnichannel CCaaS, as a technology platform, what makes it so important to companies and organizations? And these are some rankings on customer surveys, as you can see, that kind of talk through a little bit what matters most to customers. So one, if you look at what consumers say in 2022, 88% of them said the experience a company provides is as important as its product or service. So my experience interacting with the brand and what that customer experience is like is equally as important as the specific product. Now, while that's a known fact, the second stat on this stage is what the disconnect is between what companies think they're delivering. So, 80% of companies think, yeah, we're delivering a superior customer experience. But when their same customers are surveyed, the customers, only 8% of them agree. So I love our line here, mind the gap. I mean, company perception versus customer reality. And that's why these tools are so important. And so customers are frustrated. If you look at what they're most frustrated about, obviously things like waiting on hold, having to repeat themselves or their issue, not getting their issues resolved quickly, things of that nature. Those are major frustrations to them. And what they really want, if you look at the bottom half of the screen, they want their issue to be resolved in a timely manner or in the first call or first interaction, I would say, with the brand, because we're going to talk about not only telephony technology today, but also the other different ways that companies can interact with brands. So they want it to be resolved the first time. And then obviously there's a group of factors that come after that, friendly agents and employees, things of that nature. So this is a great statistic to look at, is that when we talk about omnichannel, think of a channel as a different way for a consumer to interact with a company. So whether that's through chat on their website, through social media, through calling into agents in a call center, through other various means, how can I communicate with your company when I am your customer? And so here, this slide shows the preference that people have for the ways that they interact with the company. And in the total population, voice still reigns supreme. So the ability to talk to a human who can help me with my problem and assist me the first time. What I love about that is that's especially where Poly shines in this relationship with companies and their customers, is giving them great tools for that. And then what are the areas that they're less interested in using as they have in the past? And obviously we kind of see a decline in email customer service, in single source mobile apps, some of these other areas. But just understand voice, or the ability to talk to an agent or an employee of that company. And I'll add a nuance to that. Whether the employee that resolves their problem is an agent in the contact center, or what maybe another employee in the organization that they can communicate over their UCaaS solution to, that's their primary choice. But there are some significant generational preferences in how consumers prefer to interact with organizations. So if you look at it, obviously in the younger age bands that we have on this chart, or the younger age groups, that calling into customer service has a much lower level of preference versus when you get into older generations. And in some of the younger generations, email, web chat, actually going into their location, self-service on a website or mobile app or mobile chat, social media, those things are more important. So obviously, while voice is still extremely important, the digital channels, or the digital ways to interact with a brand, become the preferred channels of younger consumers. But forget about the age bars in this chart. Regardless of that, every consumer has their own channel of choice. Everybody has a way that they prefer to communicate. And it's important for organizations to understand that to serve a broad customer base, they have to deliver the tools to their customer that allows them to communicate with them the way they want to. So one of the things that CCaaS, or contact center as a service, does, so what it helps us do, is deliver on two key promises that will help companies close that 80% gap that we talked about in that earlier chart. First, it's delivering a great employee experience. So, employee experience is how people feel about their company, how they feel about their job, the culture, things like that. And the desired outcomes, as you can see, increased employee engagement, improved employee retention, performance gains. Happy, friendly agents or support people was one of the big things that customers wanted. And why this webinar is so important is because one of the things that helps companies increase their employee engagement, employee experience, is giving them the right tools. So from Crescendo's perspective of delivering an omnichannel CCaaS, in HP Poly's perspective of then giving people the right tools and appliances to be able to actually interact with that software or those tools, that's what's really important. That translates into a better customer experience. These two things are very tightly linked. And a better customer experience is just that, getting that first call resolution, improving customer loyalty, having an engaged user community, so people that are fans of your brand, and creating a highly positive referral engine to help your customers, help you have more customers in the future. So what does Crexendo bring to this transaction or the equation? We bring our VIP CX Omnichannel contact center platform. We're going to talk about that a little bit, and then Patrick and Trent are going to assist us with a demo and answering questions about it later on. But as we talked about all those channels that companies like to interact with, this is how you do it. You have agents that are in a contact center, call center. You give them the tools that they need so they can interact with customers in the same pane of glass, in the same tab on their screen, through voice communications, SMS, email interactions, web chat on the web chat website, social through the major social media outlets, and the ability to participate in outbound campaigns to reach out to customers, all in a single interaction view. And the best part is, then if there is that case where that contact center employee needs to reach out to an expert that isn't in that group of employees in the company, by integrating this with our unified communications as a service, I can use the tools I have to have that customer's problem transferred and resolved by maybe the shipping department or the accounting department or another area in the organization, because not all the experts sit in the contact center as agents. In fact, many of the experts within the company sit outside of that. So it's important for those two tools to be joined together. So that gives you an insight into what Crexendo brings. We're going to show you this a little bit later. I'm going to hand it back to Dave to let him take us through a little bit about what HP Poly brings to this equation.
Hey, thanks, John. So, hi again, everyone. What John was saying is absolutely true in our view of the world and the studies that we've done. We find that we find that voice is still king, that at some point in time, your customer is going to want to reach into a contact center or a contact center agent and talk to them because they can't get anything resolved by the other methods. If you cannot provide a clear voice path to that customer, it creates a bad agent experience and a bad customer experience. And Poly's an endpoint company. We spend a lot of time building our products to mitigate noise around the agent and noise inbound to the customer. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So what we have is and what we know from statistically from the work that we've done is 63% of the customers are going to adopt a work from home strategy. And this applies generically. It's not just contact center agents. It's pretty much everybody. I work from home. I'm talking to you from my home office, and you will see in a little bit some of the equipment that I use in my office to communicate. But what we're trying to create is a better user experience, and then in the contact center, a better contact center agent experience. What we think about when we think about this idea of voice or endpoints or video as an endpoint company, what we know that we have to do is we have to get it right for the people that are using our product. And John, if you can jump to the next one. And we also have to get it right for the people in the spaces where they work. So work is no longer like me. I used to drive, 30 miles to work. I don't do that anymore. I get up and I walk. I built a smaller house, so I didn't have to walk so far to my office. But I used to drive, and now I work wherever I'm at. I work in my home. I work on the golf course. Believe it or not, I work on the beach. I work, in customer environments. I work on airplanes. And so what we need to do is we need to get it right for the people in the spaces. And in order to do that, or from that, we build technologies that help those people in those spaces, help them work wherever they are. So we'll talk about how we do that on the next slide, or we'll start the conversation on how we do that on the next slide. What we've done over the years is we've created these notions, these buckets, if you will, of work styles. And so you have your office communicator, somebody that's pretty much in the office all the time. You have your office collaborator, they're in the office all the time, but maybe they're doing video calls and some other high-earned stuff. So the office communicator in the office might be a contact center agent. The office collaborator might be a contact center agent or a contact center manager. Then you have the remote collaborator. So a lot of what we saw, 63% of businesses are supporting work from home. A lot of contact center agents have gone home. It's potential that the remote collaborator is actually a contact center agent working working from home. And then you're going to have these flexible contact center agents that work at home or in the office certain days of the week. And we'll talk about the road warrior and connected executive. I fall more into those environments, but that's what we've done. We figured out, or at least we bucketized and we build product accordingly. We're trying the work styles for us that we've done the research on drive experience design. And the idea is to give maximum connection with equitable experiences for everybody. So if I'm on a call with a contact center agent who's at home, I'm going to get the same experience as if I'm on a call with a contact center agent in a bullpen. So for me as a caller, I'm going to have that experience. And then the contact center agent is going to be able to pick and choose the products that fit their work style. So Poly has been studying these work styles for over a decade. And what we have learned is one size doesn't fit all. So everybody has a different type of a use case. Now in the contact center, you're probably, as an agent, you're probably going to be supplied with your equipment by your company. It's going to be all the same. I know contact center agents that buy their own equipment just because they want a little bit of a different user experience. We have headsets, we have speakerphones, cameras to fit any use case that's required. John, can you move on to the next one? So what we have found is that, and this is where our focus has been for the last 3 years because of COVID, and now post-COVID, people don't seem to be going back to the office in droves. You can see that the remote collaborator, that contact center agent that's working from home is going up, as well as the flexible workers. So the idea that you're going in and out of the office. So you can see the remote collaborator, that young lady that's in that picture. My sister-in-law works for Banner Health as a triage nurse in their contact center, and she wears that exact same headset all day long. The Voyager Focus 2, I happen to have one right here. I use it around my office, and I'll talk about what it brings. But there are other opportunities for remote collaborators, other headsets, other styles, 2-ear, 1-ear, et cetera, that we can provide to the contact center agent that makes their work life a little better, but still offers clear and good communication to the customer when they dial in. So whether you're working in a contact center or you're working at home, we got you covered, home or in the bullpen, a noisy bullpen or a noisy home, we got you covered. And what we do is we build audio innovations, audio technologies into our devices that allow for things like active noise cancellation. So when I have this little headset on, it covers both of my ears, which give me some noise blocking around me. Plus it has active noise cancellation, which tones down the noise around me. So if there's garbage trucks or dogs barking, I don't necessarily hear that. And the good news with the boom microphone and acoustic fence on some of our headsets, anything that I'm not hearing doesn't get into the call either. So that garbage truck going by, that dog barking, or the kids in the background doesn't get into the call, so that the customer is not listening to what's going on around the agent. And it applies the same in the bullpen. So nothing more aggravating than calling into a contact center and you're talking to somebody in a bullpen and you hear 50 agents behind you talking. All of that's eliminated with technologies like acoustic fence. And then we've got noise block AI, which allow us to mitigate any of the keyboard clicks or the potato chip bags rattling, all those nuisance noises that you hear on calls. So what that does is, again, it creates that clear path between the agent and the user, and the agent or the caller, and the caller can now hear the agent clearly. It makes the call go better. Next slide, John. So just a little bit about product. We do have the Encore Pro family, which was built for the contact center, lightweight, very durable. So it's easy to wear all day. It's very durable, and it provides some of those technologies that we talk about. And we also have phones, and a lot of contact centers still have phones on desk. So just be aware of that. It's not necessarily just attaching a headset to a PC. There are contact centers that have phones on desk. Phones deliver a manageable, clear voice path. Plug your headset in there and then sync between your client and your headset, or between your client and your phone, and you're able to have a really good, manageable voice path. At home, for the contact center worker at home, one more click, Jen. like I was mentioning, my sister-in-law uses that Voyager Focus 2 in her contact center work, but work from home, you have a little bit more flexibility. In the contact center in the office, you're probably going to have a wired device, and you're going to be wired to your PC with some sort of a quick disconnect cable from Poly that disconnects our headsets from the PC without using the USB port. At home, you're going to want something like the Voyager Focus 2, which has all this noise block capabilities that I've been talking about. And that way, as an agent, you can actually stand up and stretch or walk away from your desk. I know my sister-in-law goes and makes a cup of coffee and, whatever while she's on calls. And it gives a lot more freedom at home. And that also attaches to her mobile phone. So if she dares to go out of the house and, wants to just talk to her husband on her mobile phone, she can do that. But we do have mobile devices that you can see on the right-hand side that support Bluetooth. This works great at home because it's Bluetooth. In the office, next slide, John, you might want to go with a DECT product if you want mobility in your office. And one more click. Those three headsets that you see in the box work better in an office environment. They have the same technologies that the Voyager does as far as noise block and acoustic fence. But DECT is specific to voice. So there, a lot of times what happens in a Bluetooth environment in the office, you get a lot of interference because there's a lot of other Bluetooth devices. So having a DECT device where your voice is separate, again, creates a better experience for the agent and the caller. There's not any other interference. There's no clipping. There's no buzzing in the background or any of those other things that Bluetooth interference causes. Now, our headsets run on Bluetooth 5, so there are some better densities there, but DECT is a preferred technology in the contact center where there's a lot of people sitting around. And then when we talk about, or a lot of people in the bullpen, and there's a lot of Bluetooth type devices or wireless type devices. And then what we have is, this is a brand new product for us. It's called the Voyager Free 60. It's right here. Got a little earbud. Worked great. This is really a work from home product. We just introduced this about a month ago. It's just for sale just now. What it does is, a lot of people, especially when John talked about the younger generation, they like the pod idea or they like the earbud idea. So this allows them, it's an enterprise grade earbud that's manageable from the cloud, as all of our headsets are. So we treat it like any other headset. But what's really cool is, as an agent, you can use it at home. And if you have to go to the office, it's got that little carrying case, and you go to the office and you can use it in the office. Those are the types of innovations and the types of things when we talk about delivering the future of work. That's what we're working on. That's what we're looking at. What do people need in the future? And how is this younger generation going to work compared to us old guys like me? So we'll see how that works out. Next slide, John. So what we want to be is, we want to be your one size fits all contact center environment or provider for all of your endpoint, all your user endpoint needs. Work with Crexendo on building the CCaaS, work with Poly on the endpoints and creating a really good customer experience, because I've seen it. Ladies and gentlemen, I have seen it. I've been in contact centers where they're using cheap and cheery headsets, and it's a constant, what did you say? Can you repeat that? Don't allow that to happen. Buy the best. Let your contact center agents have some determination in what they're going to use, whether it's 2-ear, 1-ear, whether it's over the head, behind the head, etc. And if you need if they need cameras, we have cameras. If they for video, we do have contact centers where I do have 40,000 seats worth of video phones. And people say, why video phones in the contact center? Is an agent ever going to have a video call with a customer? Not necessarily, but for training, for coaching, for all that internal calling, they use video. So, and it's especially helpful at work from home. Having a video call with your manager is a lot better than just an audio call. So a lot of ways to do this, a lot of ways to position different equipment. No one size fits all, like I said before, but Poly has everything that we think that your contact center would need.
Really, what we've talked about here is powering customer experience through omnichannel CCaaS, helping companies improve their customer experience and their employee experience with Poly HP and all the tools that they can, and devices that they can give them to really, and that's the one thing, it's not just providing that better agent experience for the employees that actually get that technology, but when you look at acoustic fencing and some of the noise cancellation technologies and things like that they use. We've all been on the other end of that call when contact centers or call centers don't have that type of technology deployed, struggling to understand what an agent says and be able to hear them, and just, understanding that that's the tools they give. And it's really the two things going together. It's the software and it's the hardware. So we gave you the 6 channels conversation about the different ways that your employees may choose to communicate with a company or to deal with your brand. And so what I'm going to do now is turn the session over to Patrick, Jean, and Trent, and Patrick's going to take the challenge here, and he's going to demonstrate 6 channels in 6 minutes for us as part of our presentation today. So Patrick, you can take the screen share and take it away.
Thank you, John. Thank you. All right. So in 6 minutes or less, I'll be showing you how myself as a single agent using this CX web portal, I can handle 6 different types of omnichannel interactions. Most of these interactions will be happening at the same time without the need for me to make any changes to the portal. All right, let me show you how that works.
And
So
Patrick, just so we understand, this is like this is the starting page in the day of the life of an agent, right? When they log in that day.
This is me logging in as an agent for the Viridian Hotel, which is the hotel that we're going to use for this demo. And I'm logging as an agent. I can automatically see how many of my teammates are online. And I can see that I'm the only one idle. So all the interactions are gonna come to me. And at the bottom right, those are all the different channels that you spoke about earlier, John. Those are the voice channels, the digital channels, but pay attention to the blended mode, which will take full advantage of the omni-channel functionality, which is essentially the system will dynamically change to adapt to whatever interaction comes my way. So I'm going to show you how that works. The first interaction is one that we're very familiar. It's a simple phone call. So I'm going to initiate a phone call to the hotel, and I'm going to use this to show you that call. So I may place the call, and using the IVR that we designed using this platform, I'm going to pick one of the options here.
Now, Patrick, I won't take this out of your time, but for people in our audience that might not know, IVR is interactive voice response. So that's a voice prompt that you just hit to do that. And what happened there with your screen? It changed.
Absolutely. And a couple of things change when you look at my screen. So I put the call on mute here, and the call is coming my way. And first, you see a pop CRM. For this example, I'm using HubSpot. So we can have an integration with any CRM that is cloud-based, and we can do that interaction. Let me put this on mute here. And if there was a contact match, it would pull up that contact right up here. But you can also create a contact directly into your preferred CRM, right? And then a couple of things here. I have full access to what we call on-call options. I can pause, forward the call, transfer. And here's the power of the omnichannel. So this customer called in into the hotel, and they want to book a room. But before they want to book a room, let's say they want to know our prices, they want to have a promotions list. So what I can do as an agent, I can go ahead and send that information directly to the customer. So I can verify that, okay, is it okay for me to send you that information? The phone numbers are automatically uploaded here. I can text them directly, or I can use one of my templates here, send them the promotion, send that over to them. And what they will see while I'm on a phone call with them, they'll be receiving that message here with the link that I just sent over. And that customer can now directly see all the prices, and they can even book the room themselves, right? So I can verify that they received that information and then terminate that call. And once I terminate that call, a couple of things happen. I have a wrap-up time that can be configured by a supervisor here. I can enter a disposition, which is a reason for the call. So this customer called to book a room. What I can also do is to set a call back to verify that. Let's say I want to call back in about an hour. I can put some comments here to make sure that they were able to book their room. And here you go. So I'm back as idle, and I'm ready for the next interaction. So
So
that's
you literally push that digital brochure to them on the number that they called you from. So they had that in front of them.
absolutely, absolutely. And so that's an incoming interaction. How do we deal with outgoing interaction? So if I wanted to reach out to this customer now, we have different automatic dialers that we have built into this platform. We have the predictive progressive preview and the IVR outbound dialers. But let's say if I wanted to give this customer a callback, so my list of callbacks here that I set up here, I can go ahead and initiate that call. So I can go ahead and click the dial here, or I can reschedule that call for a later time. The system will send me periodically some notification reminding me that I need to reach out to this customer here. Or if I have a lot of different callbacks, I can work that into one of those automatic dialers that I can have access to. This will look like this. The system will feed into that dialer with the customer information, and I can click here to dial or move to the next one down the list, and so on and so forth. So I can go down a list of callbacks either automatically or manually. So it's really up to you how you want to operate the outbound campaign.
So that's an example of one dialer, and that was the preview dialer. And you said the platform also supports predictive, preview, IVR, and what was the fourth?
Progressive.
So 4 different ways that a contact center supervisor can configure their campaigns for outbound calling. And then also obviously manual dialing, just dialing the screen and making a call.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And now let's kick it up to something a little bit more interesting, web chat. So I'm going to switch over to our favorite hotel here. And what we've done is we've equipped this hotel with the web chat functionality. It's a very simple process, 7-line of code that we can just send over to a developer, and it takes a few minutes to just add that functionality to the website. And on this particular website, we have a lot of different bots, intelligent bots that we can add that could link to any type of system. For example, this is a hotel. So we have this bot with the property management system of the hotel that integrates with it, that can check for availability for a room. So this bot will have a Q&A where it will introduce itself to the customer, and this can be configured very simply, very easily. And this will ask some probing questions like, oh, you're currently a guest. If you're a guest, what type of service you want? So I can select whatever service I need. And what the bot will do is to route me to the correct representative. So if I wanted to maintenance, it will send me to a maintenance representative, and so on and so forth. But let's say if I was a new customer, I want to book a room. So it will give me some options here. Let's say I want to book a room. It will show me some different rooms. I want the presidential suite, show me some pictures, and it will check for availability based on the time that I want. So I want Saturday, and then I want to check out on Wednesday. It's a long weekend for me and the wife. So this will come back with whether or not this room is available for that date. And now it can connect me directly to an agent, and I can put my information here. The agent will have all that information, and I can go ahead and book that room. So once I submit here, it will connect me with the same agent that was handling the call earlier. So if I go back to my agent toolbar here, you can see I'm talking to Patrick here. I can click here, and all the information is parsed over to me. Trent, why don't you send me an SMS so I can show the power of the digital campaign. So
real quick, Patrick, while he's doing that, and I won't take this out of your 6 minutes because I know I'm interjecting. I just want to point out, because we're doing pretty good on time. You know, when you look at the bots and the AI capabilities and web chat and some of these other things, you know, a lot of people go, is that, you know, when we talk about employee experience, I don't think a lot of companies realize that what it does is this allows you to take a lot of the more mundane tasks from your agents, the simple things, those simple interactions, and take them off of them by automating them. and then allow them to focus on the higher value customer interactions, talking to people and handling things. So, I think since part of our theme today is employee experience, I just wanted to point that out, because that allows them, not how many times do you take a call for maid service in your room or whatever at a hotel. If you can handle all that through this kind of interaction method, then your agents can deal with real customers and enjoy talking to people about things that aren't just the bread and butter of what you do every day. So I thank you for sharing that. That was an awesome tool.
Well, yeah, definitely. I'll kind of jump on that bandwagon with you, John, because if you also saw that Patrick was choosing dispositions of why customers are calling you, and you can actually create kind of a life cycle of all the different calls you're taking, and then potentially put some automation in front of it. If all of your agents are taking calls for hours of operation, and not handling some of those higher value questions, right? The mundane questions, it just makes sense to put a little automation in front of it to get, again, release the agent to handle some value stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, great job.
Awesome. All right.
Absolutely. And one of the benefits of having that digital interaction versus the phone calls is that a phone call is in real time. So you can only have one conversation at a time. But if you're really swamped and really having a lot of customer contacting you, having the ability to go through multiple conversations at the same time. So as you can see, I'm having the interaction with Patrick with the website. I can switch over to the SMS that Trent just sent, right? And then you can have a history of the communication with the same customer. So if a customer called in an hour earlier or sent a text an hour earlier or this morning, you will have a history of that conversation with them, so you can continue helping them without having to ask the same questions over and over again. And then there you go. If you have a social media presence, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, you can have that information, that conversation as well. And then you can switch between those different interactions. And now I have 3 here, but a manager can configure it to up to 10. So you can have 10 concurrent conversations happening all at once. Now I have to do some work as to closing out those interactions. So I'll give it back to you, John.
All right.
That was 6 minutes, right?
Right. Yeah, great job. 6 channels in 6 minutes. But we joke about that a little bit. But I think you see how these tools are so powerful, and it does allow you to have the ability for agents to be able to support, as Patrick mentioned, that they can support multiple customers at one time through different interactions and channels like that. You can take workload off of your agents by deploying the intelligent bots and the AI-enabled components of this. So let's just sum it up. We're going to go to question and answer here in a few minutes. So you can start posting those. But really what we've talked about in our session today with Crexendo and Poly is delivering a unified experience for UCaaS, CCaaS, Omnichannel CCaaS, and all of the tools that they need and appliances through Poly that really helps companies deliver a solution that it helps empower their workforce and delight their customers. And what this is about is closing that 80% gap between what the companies believe they were doing and what the customers felt that they were receiving. And the ways that we do that are through this cloud-based omnichannel contact center that's also integrated into a unified communications as a service platform. So your employees that are agents can reach out to any experts in their organization and be able to leverage the knowledge and the brain trust of your whole organization and not just that small cadre of employees. We also delivered AI-enabled and future-ready capabilities like the web chat, the web bot that you saw there. So, clearly, that was one example in a hospitality environment, but there are many examples that we can deliver. And the one thing with the next thing is with the open API and easy integrations. You saw with the HubSpot integration, where when that customer called in, it immediately dipped that whatever the critical application is that the company's relying on for that source of truth for their customer relationship management. And if that customer had been in that record, it would pull up and you would see all their past interactions with you, and you'd have that information at the agent's fingertips. So using our open API for those easy integrations, and then also delivering that incredible audio quality and clarity from the Poly HP devices. So that all of these are components in delivering the experience that we're talking to you about. So after that, Bruce, I'm going to hand it back to you so we can take questions from our audience.
Okay, thank you very much, John. But before we get to questions, I'd like to know if you want to remind our attendees how they can reach you for more information.
Sure. Yeah, I was going to throw up the find out more in a little bit in the thank you, but you find out more by going to Crexendo.com. Now, you know, we're smart about technology, dumb about spelling. So it's Crexendo.com, Crexendo.com with an X. Or you can find that on poly.com as well, or the HP Poly sites, as Dave would say, for their solution. So check out either of our websites. Feel free to reach out also over social media, LinkedIn or email, and we'll be more than happy to give you more information. So let's see what questions we have out there.
Okay, sure. I've got one right away, and it's in regards to the graph you showed about the generational differences and how different generations respond. And I know that elderly people do not like chatbots. And in fact, a lot of people don't like chatbots. So can you talk a little bit about how you can address a good customer experience for all ages, from the millennials all the way up to Gen Z and to baby boomers?
Yeah, I think that is probably a little bit of a difference between people that are digital natives, you know, who've been raised in the cell phone era or the computer era before that, versus people who are not digital natives. Our key point about that part of the experience is when you deploy these digital channels, I don't want to overstate ease, but it's not as challenging as you would think to be able to lay this foundation once you go from a voice only contact center to offering digital channels. Essentially, once you offer digital channels, you can do all those things that Patrick showed, where you can integrate with email, with social media, with web chat, with SMS. And so our position would be just deliver all of those channels to your audience, to your consumers, so they can pick their channel of choice. I mean, when within your agent population in a call center or contact center, you know, when agents are in the voice queue and we're taking those voice calls, you know, we don't recommend or support that they also can be doing digital interactions. So a portion of your agents should be dedicated to the digital interactions with customers. And if you're providing those, then you should provide all the channels. And then no matter, hey, you know, you might have an 80 octogenarian who's perfectly comfortable with SMS and web chat, whatever. And if they choose to use that as their channel of choice, you just want to have as little friction as possible for them to be able to communicate with you that way. And if you've done the CRM integration or an ERP integration or into your customer support software, that type of integration, and you've got the numbers captured for SMS and the voice numbers and things like that, if that consumer chooses to change channels and reach out to you next time by phone or through another method, that integration into that CRM or that database will tell that agent, give them the history of what's happened with that customer in the past, so that people can more seamlessly switch between modes or channels of communication with you. So anyways, there it goes, guys, 45 minutes, I lost the camera. So that gives you that option as something that as a way to communicate with your audience.
Well, I'll save you, John, while you wave your arms to get your light back on. So I'm kind of right on the cusp of what I call kitchen phone kids. So I had the kitchen phone with the long curly cord, and that's how I interacted with businesses because I was required to, right? So my daughter, however, I asked her to call an organization the other day because she had a problem with her widget, whatever it was, right? And she looked at me like I had a horn growing on my head when I asked her to make a phone call to this business, because she's a Snapchat kid. So that's how she wants to interact. She wants to interact digitally just because she doesn't want to have that type of conversation with an organization. So that change is coming, but we still got a lot of voice, as you've seen on the slide that John presented earlier. Voice is the kind of the main channel to get into your businesses.
And I think from our perspective, when you look at what we were just talking about with John and Trent there, the younger generation, yes, but when they do want help, they want educated contact center agents that they can talk to and get a resolution quickly. And again, it comes back to clear voice, clear audio, the ability to communicate clearly, because when they get to that point, and it happens, I've seen my daughter do it, and I've seen my grandkids do it. They want to talk to somebody, they want answers, and they want to be able to communicate clearly and effectively. So even though voice may go down over years, 10 years from now, it may not be as big as anything else, but it's still going to be there. And when it's going to be still an important part of problem resolution in the contact center.
Yeah, you got to deliver it right if they do choose that channel, and it's got to be clear and concise.
Exactly.
I think every deployment that we would recommend is digital channels built on top of a solid voice solution and infrastructure, because
Absolutely.
you can't, it's not an either or, it's an and.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right, well, moving into all of these digital channels that you've mentioned seems kind of complicated. So do I have to offer them all at once, or do I have to offer all of them at any time, or what?
You want to take that one, Trent?
Yeah, I can take that one. So the way we set up our licensing model is you can basically choose your own adventure. So you can go with just straight voice, and then you can just dip your toe a little bit into digital. And again, it's whatever your customers want to consume, right? If they just want to consume web chat, because that's going to be what their customers been asking for, we can just put in web chat and voice. If they want to go through the whole gamut, email, web chat, social media channels, we can also do that. So it's really choose your own adventure when it comes and what makes sense for your organization. So not all of it has to be done at one time. We don't need to boil the ocean, and you can layer it in as needed and maybe as your demographic changes.
Okay. Now, Dave talked about the Bluetooth and the DEC headsets, and he spent quite some time on it, but I'm wondering if you could go back and just remind us what the differences are.
So there's two different types of radio technologies: Bluetooth, which we're all familiar with. I think everybody's familiar with Bluetooth. Your headset's attached to your mobile phone, you're attaching headsets to your television set and your PC. That's all basically done by Bluetooth. DECT is a hardier technology. Without explaining the technology difference, it is more of a voice-centric technology, whereas Bluetooth is kind of an everything technology. So your PCs can communicate, your phones, your headsets, et cetera. Well, DECT is kind of isolated to the voice world. So if I have a DECT headset on my PC, I don't have to worry about Bluetooth interference or Wi-Fi interference with what's going on that communication channel between my headset and my PC. So it isolates itself. It's a great way to build in-building wireless voice networks. You don't have to worry about what's going on Wi-Fi. You don't have to worry about what's going on Bluetooth. It's an isolated, separate technology that we use to communicate over the air.
And hey, Dave, one thing too with your DECT is you do have a significantly generally greater range. So you talked about, the walk around kind of worker. If you're a walk around in the office worker between departments or stray much farther from your desk, the range difference between the two is significant.
True.
One of the biggest concerns in the industry today, obviously, is security. So could we address what kind of security measures are employed with these solutions?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So the solution is housed in AWS. So all of the disaster recovery and scalability that goes along with that is built into the solution. And we have gone through SOC 1, SOC 2 compliance, and the solution is not only SOC 1, SOC 2 compliant, we do have HIPAA and PCI compliance on it as well. So I think we hit a lot of the the check marks there.
Yeah, I would add for anybody in the audience that's interested in that, for both the UCaaS and the CCaaS components of our solution, we've got a whole long list of initials in certifications that we'd be happy to get into greater detail with any customer that might be interested in that. So you should feel good from a compliance and perspective that we've got you covered.
Just what we need are more initials, right?
That's right.
There are a lot of things that go into creating the optimum employee experience. So where do you think that these tools benefit improving that the most?
Well, I'll take that one because I had the frustration with the slides. So, obviously giving people the tools they need to do their job seamlessly, and I think, if you think about contact center agents and what they do, giving, they go from one call or one interaction to the next, that, they may not, in a lot of the traditional environments, they may not have any background into where the customer's at. So being able to deliver the intelligence to them through that CRM integration or something like that, to see that, oh no, this customer, I can understand why they're probably going to be frustrated because this is the 5th time that they've called us in the last 2 weeks, and giving them the intelligence and the tools they need, and then having it work right. I mean, when Patrick did his demo, that agent interaction panel that you saw, he wasn't hopping around from here to there to everywhere to be able to handle all those different media types. That was one, basically one login, one screen with the dashboard that helped him be able to handle all those interactions. So having it work that way, having the integration with the Poly devices, I'll let you guys expand on it more, but it's just giving them seamless tools or tools that work together well. Not like Zoom and Microsoft today, that help them to be able to do their job with as little friction as possible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
John. The idea is if we want to increase efficiency, right, while providing more ways for our customers to reach us, minimizing the agent's input is a great way to really reduce that human error, that frustration, that whenever the agent gets frustrated, it will translate into the customer. So it's really minimizing the work that agent has to do. And in turn, it will reduce the amount of training that is required for the agent to pick up this product and run with it.
Yeah, and if you think about this, the single pane of glass is what I really want to put forth, is that allows an agent to not have to jump through windows, jump through hoops, launch this, make sure you launch this before you launch this. So just having that single login to take all those customer interactions is what I think is a key factor in providing the employee experience, and then translating that to the customer experience, definitely.
Yeah, and I think from an endpoint perspective, stuff's just got to work. Your PC's got to work. If it doesn't work, you're going to be in trouble. If your headset doesn't work, you're in trouble. If your laptop or if your telephone doesn't work, you're in trouble. So the ability to diagnose quickly hardware issues from cloud-based services like what Poly provides for our hardware and is critical, as well as fit, feel, form factor. I mean, you don't want your agents getting tired all day because they wear a heavy headset, or they wear a headset that they can't hear the inbound caller out of, or there's a lot of noise around them that's distracting. Your brain just works a lot harder when you're trying to communicate with those things happening. So I want to make sure everything works and that we're providing the best user experience with the technologies that we talked about, and good working equipment and good working networks. So there's a lot more to it than just having a good CCaaS solution. That's right. Important, but what the agent is touching at the endpoint is really important.
And Dave, I'll just add, you hit a point early on, companies giving employees choice between the type of device and headset that they use. I mean, I would, and I share that I use the Poly 5200, single ear headset that just sits on my ear because that's my preference. But a bunch of guys in the office have, the others that cover both ears, so they have more privacy, things like that. So I think it's important for companies that are wanting to deliver that kind of employee experience to to give them some optionality and some choices, because everybody's preferences are different today. And especially younger workers don't want to just come in and maybe have a standard issue given to them, and this is what you get, as opposed to choose from this group of tools and you can get one of each or whatever. So I think that's important as well.
So that's a good segue. Yeah, and that's a good segue to exactly what the next question was about the freedom of headsets. You don't have to be tied to your desk. You can mix and match. Is that correct?
Yeah, so BYOD is scary when you're allowing, and I know a couple of large financial institutions that are kind of going to a BYOD environment where their employees are going to bring their own computers and their own phones, and you're like, well, that's going to be a mess for IT. I don't know how that's going to work, but the idea that the company might give you a pick list headset that you would be able to choose, that they could manage, that they could understand what that headset is that their IT guys know how to support that headset. So you could, like I said, at home, you could have a wired headset if you wanted to, if that's what's the most comfortable for you, lightweight, easy to wear. Or you could have a Bluetooth headset, like I talked about, that allows you to get away from your desk. And you could even have a decked headset in the home. Most of the bullpen contact centers that we see where their bullpen environments are wired. And what we do is we build a cable that runs from the USB port to the headset, and it's called a quick disconnect. So you're not disconnecting from the PC all the time. The agent can actually walk away. And if another agent needs to use that because you're a 24-hour shop, they just plug into that quick disconnect and then they have their own headset assigned. So a variety of choices, Bluetooth, deck, wired, quick disconnect. There's a lot of ways to do it. There's a lot of ways to offer that out.
Okay, we're going to just take one more question, but I'm going to assure that attendees that ask questions, your questions will be turned over to John and his crew to answer, but we only have about time for one more. So I want to ask you about, go back to the chat bots. I'm wondering if you can talk about how you keep chat bots relevant. I mean, it's a changing world. Obviously, questions come up all the time. So how do you keep them relevant so that they can answer customers' questions?
So kind of the training of them. I don't know, Trent, if you want to take that one before you do real quick, I would just say too, Bruce, because we're running out of time. We had a few questions from some of our platform licensees on the NetSapiens platform that were more specific to them. And I would tell them to just reach out to their account executive. We'll individually answer those questions for them because they're excellent questions. We just don't have time to get to them. And we'll deal with any of those outside of the session. But you want to address that, Trent?
Yeah, well, so it's all about collecting the information. So you need to, as a supervisor, an admin, or a CEO for that matter, you need to know what your customers are asking, why they're asking, and how are they asking. So that way you can make educated decisions. So one of the things that we haven't shown to you today, but feel free to reach out to the team and we can set up some other side demos, is the reporting side of this. So it's one thing to have the information, it's nothing to report on it. So based off those reports of what type of questions people are asking, that's where you start creating chatbot content. That's where you start creating, your agent experience. It has to come from the information, and you have to be educated by that.
Yeah, and I think, Patrick, one of the things that you demonstrated, you gave us the dispositions, right? So the dispositions end up feeding into that data that's on the back end of it that actually helps people get the intuitive information that they need to be able to train the bots, you can say, or improve that interaction, right?
And that's how we stay relevant, is because we're still collecting data the entire time and be able to make educated decisions based off what our customers and our agents are feeding into the system. Definitely.
Right. Great. Hey, co-panelists, thank you both all very much. I'll say that, Bruce, let's go and take us out of this.
All right, sure, I'll do that. But we want to thank you, John, you're Crexendo's Chief Revenue Officer, and all of your guests, Crexendo's System Architect, Patrick Jean, Crexendo's CCaaS Subject Matter Expert, Trent Dewey, and of course, Dave Finney, the Director of Global Alliances for Poly HP. So thank you all very much. But before we go, I also want to thank Crexendo and Poly for both being a gold sponsor for the 2023 CVX Expo. CVX Expo is scheduled for November 14th through 16th in Scottsdale, Arizona, and registration is open. And the best part about it is that if you are a qualified partner in the channel, your attendance is free. You simply have to go to cvxexpo.com to register. So now, from all of us at Channel Vision Magazine, and from all of our friends at Crexendo and from Poly HP, thanks for attending. Have a safe and prosperous day.
Yep. Think so.
Thanks
Bye now.
all.